Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. The digitization of the economy was a trend taking place prior to COVID-19. The shutdowns only accelerated those trends. Joining me to discuss the growth in telecom and associated cybersecurity risks is Adrian Shatku, CEO of UNIFI Communications. Adrian, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Good to be with you, Jill. Thanks for the invite.
Adrian, what's the current state and the resiliency of the telecom space, considering the unprecedented demand being placed on the network?
So this crisis, Jill, has tested obviously the telecom networks all over the world incredibly at scale. We also experienced that the resilience and the availability of these networks, they really powered the only economy running, that was the digital economy. So I think the telecom really proved to be mission critical, whatever that is, local networks, wireless networks, or submarine around the network. And they really powered the economy for the last few months with an incredible growth, particularly in the areas of data, where people were forced to work from home as they do today, as you and I are today. And those networks, they were built with idle capacity, which some of the operators were able to basically get them up and running very quickly and meet the demand. But a lot ahead needs to be done. I think crises do lead to change. This was an incredible change for the telecom sector as well, whatever that is, local, domestic, or international. So I do think as we move forward and we will communicate more and more with our machines, there is more capacity needs to be built, forgive me. And I do believe that in a way COVID-19 did accelerate the demand for better networks and more protected networks. But I also think that in the short term, there'll be some challenges ahead. Whatever you're building a submarine overseas and you touch a couple of countries and you have permits to deal with, or you have a cut somewhere and you need to send a ship and you need approvals. But overall, I think the telecom was resilient and proved to be mission critical and worked out very well.
Do you think the government's doing enough to protect the infrastructure that powers these networks?
I think the COVID-19 really has unfolded the really mission critical needs of these networks. We've seen an intervention in one particular submarine that even Google was part of it, and the U.S. government intervened, and they did not approve the going ahead of that network. I think they're catching up. I think they are aware. The particularly, many people don't know this, but the internet actually sits under the ocean. There is this invisible super digital highways, the power of internet that we commute every day. And now more and more they are exposed to all kinds of activity. The new ones are going to be built, and the submarine cables of the future are being built by the likes of Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, et cetera, because the over-the-tops obviously see an incredible demand for their own users, and they want the users to have a very fast and quick transaction for whatever they are in the world. So I think the governments around the world, they are realizing the importance and the critical reliance on these networks as the digital economy is picking up. Each of them, they're kind of have their own policy, but you hope that the policy of most of them is more inclusion and more cooperation, because again, when you cross in one country to another, it touch even 10 countries because they go with multiple legs. And if there were to be more barriers, obviously access will be an issue. But I think this crisis has really shown that these networks are to be protected and are to be basically treated as mission critical.
So, Adrian, what happens if networks blast or go down in a digital economy? I'm sure there are many nefarious actors that would like to see further disruption to Western economies. Is the industry doing enough to protect against cyber attacks?
I think collectively and individually, everyone is trying. Commercially speaking, if you have a network blast, it means that all your customers are down, and no provider wants to have that because when a customer is down, um, um, there's loss of revenues, there's brand equity, there's a lot of factors involved that you don't want the networks to be down. But there's been cases around the world where one particular network is down, and if there is not enough resilience or disaster recovery built in to pick up if one network is down and for the other to step up, you got the digital economy shut down. And we all know that if you look at the world digital economy, I'm not sure if I'm correct in the numbers, but it's somewhere around 16, 17, 18 trillion economy worldwide. It's a very, very significant economy. And those invisible highways that connect the internet that sit in the ocean are to be maintained, to be protected, and you want to make sure that you also build them with some sort of a disaster recovery, and you want to avoid at all costs to being um, down or to be having some sort of a cut or having some sort of a intervention. There is some parts of the world that the governments and the regulators have a bit more of um, an intervention approach towards this network. Obviously, the Western world operates a little bit differently, but these networks are to be really refreshed, maintained, and rebuilt at all costs. They are powering the digital economy as we know it, and steroids.
Yeah, for sure.
Without them, even the over the tops, the Netflix of the world and others will not be able to function properly.
Yeah, and as you had mentioned before, certainly COVID-19 has accelerated all of those trends, I think, beyond anyone's imagination. If you look at least in the near term, for the next 3 to 5 years, we've already brought those trends and the need for that technology now. So, Adrian, to wrap up, tell us about UNIFI. What does it take to be among one of the top global telecom companies?
Oh, so UNIFI, it's basically it started out of New York in the late 90s, and it has become obviously one of the largest international carriers in the world, connecting networks and countries and some of the most challenging markets around the world. Uh, what does it take to be on the top? A lot of work, driving relevance and basically going out there and asking yourself every day, am I relevant? Am I offering something that it's distinguished from others? Am I in enough markets to give our customer easy access? And am I offering enough value to our customers? And nowadays, obviously, the future customers are, the Amazons of the world, the Facebooks of the world, the WhatsApps, and the OTTs of the world. And they are pretty demanding, and they require access and they require capacity. And we try our very best every day to drive that relevance and give them that capacity and that experience that they can pass around to their customers.
All right, Adrian, thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
And thank you for having me, Jill.
All right, you got it. Thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.